Welcome to Dave.
And Mackey's.
Shiny Side Out. I said that like suckers, right? We are coming to you from Australia, dramatic pause, for Revolution Radio, on revolution.radio, where it's home to fresh, unfiltered ideas and conversations that you can find in the chat room where Meki and I are right now. And the station's website is a great place to buy your gift merchandise. Buy some for yourself. It's okay to buy things for yourself. Do you remember that news article? And it's okay to buy things for others. And gifting is what we should be doing. Now, this is show number 592.
290 and 500.
That is so correct. Did you know that you can catch us on air, online, and anywhere on your smart device? So grab an app to listen if you don't know what we're talking about. Or you can just sit at home with your feet up, nice cup of tea, if you're that way, beer, whatever your pleasure is, listening to us through a Grace Tabletop digital radio. If only we were sponsored, Meki.
Oh, hey?
Wow. Yeah. I'd kind of like be like towely, I think. Anyway, that's bad. I've been watching South Park, so if you know what I mean. If you missed Solaris' show, I actually caught it. So I didn't miss her wonderful show as usual. But if you did, don't worry. You can find it in the archives.
Beautiful.
If you didn't know that. Because tonight she had Madeline Rudy and Caroline Bell Tumbletti. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Tumbletti. And they were talking about remote viewing and world events. And it was a lot of fun. And I did catch it. I was doing research. Who doesn't? And yeah, great stuff. You know, it doesn't surprise me though that it's great stuff because she always has a great show. And thank you very much, Solaris. Love goes out to you. And well, this is the opposite to that. If you missed Solaris' show, don't fear. You can just jump in and get it from the archives from the station, which is free. You can do that. We all provide our time through effort, and the station gets to share that, you know, that whatever we broadcast for free. And you get it as MP3s. One day, Meki, there'll be an AI that sweeps through all of that and social profiles it all. Good luck with that. So, I love the letter. Let's just get off the bat.
I love the AI. You're too late. I love him the most. Too bad for you. Haha. I win in the lottery of survival.
Dang it. But anyway, so since it is free, do jump in there and share the stories or you know, information that you hear that delights you with your friends who you believe may be of interest to that. And just remember, be kind to your friends. If you've been researching a lot, however, you've realized that there's many stepping stones that got to you where you are in comparison to the people you're talking to, do ensure that you only provide them the one step closer, not the answer, not the solution that requires years of research to get to and an understanding of what it all means, because rattling someone's cage that much can cause mental distress in some cases, depending on what the news is. I'm not talking about, you know, the new way of composting, but if there's, just put it out there, or the treatment of a bacteria in your horse's hooves. No, I'm talking about things that are, you know, on the global platform that we know of and we live within. So just be very, very careful not to distress others by relieving them of all of their safety nets, their workshops, home support system that they have. And just honestly, just reiterating, be careful, all right? Because it can be damaging to people's health, mental health especially. Now, Mackie, look, you and I, we're lucky because we're not crisis actors on a fictitious continent.
Speak for yourself.
if you're getting a wage from it, sign me up. Right? If there's a wage, sign me up because I want to be part of this. All right? Hey mate. Well, I'm just going to make it funny. So, the Truman Show. I don't want to be the guy who's the only one that's not a paid actor.
Right.
So you say your point being?
What?
What? I think he's onto us. Yeah.
Abort!
Abort!
What?
Well, everything in my house powers off. No, yeah. So you don't want to do that. So luckily, Mackie and I, we broadcast out of Australia, and I'm broadcasting today out of Darkinjung country. And Mackie, where are you?
Dark country, thank you.
That's a big giveaway, because I know what that means. And Mackie and I, both of us, and together as Shiny Side Out, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of land and pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Mackie, what's happened to the crazy?
The crazy. I spent most of the last few days online. What a shock! But I went outside as well. But the bottom has dropped out of the crazy.
Uh-huh.
In many ways, and that's going to be, saying there are a couple of topical things we need to discuss. Absolutely, but first of all, I've been watching a lot of documentaries, been doing a lot of verifying research and things like that. And what do you think of Dr. Stephen Greer? Well, what's your opinion there?
My personal opinion is that I understand that initially, was it 30 years ago, or thereabouts, at the initial launch of his company that was designed. So he was an ED doctor initially, but apparently he started having conversations, not his whole history here, and he developed a company which was to siphon or research any technology that might have been gleaned from any of those witnesses that came forward, or those whistleblowers that came forward to discuss the American government employees' work within secret projects. And I just think that kind of thing to me wasn't what I wanted to hear. I thought, here's a freedom fighter, Mackie, gathering up the people who are willing to talk about, let's call it, things that were being kept from the people, and a hope to build a brave new world, right? Using technology that had been pushed away into some crate somewhere in a huge anonymous warehouse. But I don't know if any of that happened.
So I can tell you it hasn't happened for various reasons. The reason I'm bringing him up is because I watched a few of his documentaries, and his latest, including his latest one, which is. So I'll tell you.
Well, did I say he's milking it for everything it's worth?
Again, I got no issue with that as long as there's an end to it. But he, and I'm only talking about the information, not really what he gets out of it personally. I don't care about that.
I hear you.
But what I watched,
we've actually interviewed a few of those persons who have given information willingly to the press club.
Yeah.
Through his forum. So.
And sorry, I'm going to tell you how.
I actually thank him for. In one way, I thank him for having the wherewithal to begin this process. Yeah. And it is like, though, it never happened.
Yeah.
So David Coulthard thing, it's, David Grush. Oh, he's the only one who's ever spoken about this stuff. Crazy.
Yeah. So The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It is his latest thing. It's an amalgamation of one of his talks as well as cutaways to other people talking, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm bringing it up is this.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So I did, as I said, a lot of research, and one thing that became very clear to me, and I'll come back to Stephen Greer in a second, that we are living through an extremely dangerous time right now. Okay, what's happening? We're sending, I think Australia is sending 700 firefighters to Canada. It's a reciprocal arrangement. They helped us, when it was bad for us, but now
that's right.
It's bad for Canada now. So the Northern Hemisphere is experiencing extreme heat, extreme heat, and they're calling it Cerberus. Now I cringed when the news reports called it, the attack dog of the gods. No,
really,
no. Cerberus is the three-headed dog that guards Hades, or the underworld. So Hades is mistranslated as hell. It's not hell, it's just where the dead people go. Hades, the Shadowland. Anyway, but it is quite fierce, and it's three-headed, and it guards Hades. But so they're calling this heat wave Cerberus. Like, they've got names for storms, right? Now they have got names for heat waves. Now, okay, but that's the entire Northern Hemisphere. So Europe and America are in 40-plus Celsius degree heat, which is 104 Fahrenheit, 104 plus. Not a couple of countries, no, Spain, France,
no, that's right.
Croatia, Turkey. In fact, several massive fires are burning. In Canada, it's so bad that Chicago's air was influenced by Canadian wildfires. And they're still burning. They're still burning, and people have died in this. Now, firefighters, our heart goes out to them and their relatives, of course.
Absolutely.
And about 560 wildfires in Canada remain out of control. 560. Okay. At the same time, this is not after one of the other. This is at the same time we've got massive flooding events across Asia. Massive, because what happens when you got great heat is you get more evaporation.
That's right.
More moisture is makes it into the atmosphere, and eventually whatever goes up comes down, right? It's usually is precipitation. So you have these incredible heat waves, and then in Asia you've got these massive floods. I mean, it is monsoon season, so that's okay. Of course, but this is all across Asia, Korea, India, China, Japan, massive floods, attending landslides as well, right? People being killed, etc., etc. Now, I don't know if you know this, but last year in Europe, how many people do you think died as a result of excessive heat in Europe? Last year.
Okay, I'm gonna guess 900.
60,000.
Oh boy,
60,000 people.
And the reason for this is that they're just honestly not used to this kind of heat at all.
No.
Right.
Now, of course, these are elderly people and younger people as well. And the problem in Europe, of course, is mostly Western and Northern and Eastern Europe, I guess. They don't have air conditioning.
That's right.
It's no need for air conditioning.
That's right. Why? Because there isn't a need for it. Yeah.
Now, I lived 19 years of my life, the first 19 years, from 1969 to 1988, in Germany. In Germany, I lived there, and I traveled all over Europe, and all over the Middle East. Anyway, the point is, we never, ever had temperatures going anywhere near 40.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen. It didn't. I remember when I was in primary school, but then later in high school as well, when the temperature hit 30 degrees Celsius.
You went home from school.
By 10 a.m., you went home from school.
Yeah,
for the very simple reasons that you didn't have air conditioning. Yeah. You were stuck in a hot and stuffy classroom. But not only that, when it did hit 30 or 31, God forbid, or even 32, the asphalt in the road would start to melt.
That's right.
So I would walk through it. It'd be walking it wasn't like running melting, but it was melting
treacle
enough.
That's right.
It was exactly. It was the consistency of treacle enough to ruin my shoes, as it were. So that's only 1988. What's that? 30 odd years ago, right? We never had this. We didn't have 60,000 people dying.
In 88. It's a bit longer
in
than
heat
30.
Waves.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. So that's to one side. Okay, so you've got this incredible heat. you've got these incredible flooding events which are brought about by precipitation, extreme precipitation. We had it in Australia as well, and wildfires, and fires also in parts of Europe. So where does this? So why am I saying all of this? I'm saying all of this because obviously, we're going into our summer pretty soon, and it'll be, in my opinion, catastrophic in Australia. But we've also recorded something that we haven't recorded ever before. Well, sorry, we have, but we have just recorded the world's hottest day since records began. That was Monday, July 3rd, globally. I'm not talking about in a country, in a region, or in a little town. The globally hottest day, and for the average temperature for the planet on July 3, Monday, this year, was 17 degrees Celsius. You're going, oh, that's not very hot. Yes, it is if it's across the planet. It's very hot. It's never been this hot, ever, across the planet, since records began. The previous record stood at 16.92 degrees in August of 2016. Okay? So some time ago. So we have the hottest days, the hottest temperatures. We've never seen temperatures like this before. Never ever. And in fact, up until 2016, the hottest temperature stayed below 15 degrees.
I got 4 just in case. Love you.
Yeah,
15.
that's right.
Okay? So now again, Stephen Greer. So all of this stuff is happening. You can stick your head in the sand. It's all good. Do what you need to do. Wonderful. But it is happening. These things are now happening. Now, you ask yourself, why are they happening? Now, I'm not saying that we're at fault here, human beings, in this, because I don't know. And I don't know that the science has proven yet that it is only humans that do it. Because we have, climate change and temperature fluctuations, etc., throughout the entire history of the planet as far as we can ascertain it anyway. So it's always happened. Right? Now, you could argue that maybe human beings have something to do with, we're burning carbon, fossil fuel, etc. But let's say that burning fossil fuels is not a good thing. Let's just say it's not a good thing because pollution, etc., and cost, etc. So there's a price attached to it, both in money as well as in, I guess, environmental factors. We know that it's not good to burn fossil fuels. It's not good for us. It's not good for the air quality. We know this. Okay. Right, we're extracting it. That costs money, it pollutes the environment as well, so that's not good either. Now, it seems, and I've known this for some time, but it sort of all fell into focus this week, Dave. We've for some time been aware, you and I, that is, of alternative energy
Yep.
resources, let's call it. And the most promising of those is, of course, zero-point energy. But there are others. There are many other inventions, and that's where Stephen Greer comes in, because his documentary highlights some of those that were sort of made a blip and then disappeared because the inventor either took it to the grave, and usually those inventors were accidented, it seems.
Yeah, accidented,
right?
Yep.
Or they were bought out. That could happen too. I mean, that's probably
And
what
so
you prefer.
So their tech was shelved. Yep,
Yeah.
like the Sarek
Yeah.
motor.
Yeah. And in fact, the American government and other governments, I'm certain, but they only mentioned the American government, takes patents out of circulation. Apparently, in the American patent offices, every three-letter agency is represented. They're representatives of every three-letter agency to make sure that things that they don't like to go out don't make it to the light of day, as it were. Now, two things. One, if you don't want this for your invention, make it public on the internet.
That's right.
Put it out there so everybody can use it. That's number one. Number two, who do we all think the establishment is serving? When I say the establishment, I'm talking about the three-letter agencies,
That's
the government, all the institutions that should serve the people. But who do we think they're actually serving there?
Well, it isn't us, I'll tell you that much.
He does. In fact, we're probably their last concern.
Who has the most money? I'll tell you, it's them.
And that's the crux. We are now in the end stages of the demise of our civilization. And by end stages, I'm talking about probably a few decades if we're lucky.
Yep.
Now I've got kids, family, and I don't want this to be true. I'm not one of those doomsday junkies that goes yeah hurrah yeah it's doomsday. That's not me. That's not me. But I see it, and there's very little I can do apart from doing this. And to be clear, greed, corruption, and stupidity is what's going to wipe us out. Those are the things that are going to wipe us out surer than smallpox. Okay? Because the thing is, oh well, you know this, J.P. Morgan, right? He was financing Tesla.
Yep.
Yeah. As soon as Tesla said, oh no, you can't. Tesla was not a businessman. He's not, okay. But as soon as J.P. Morgan found out that he won't be able to charge anybody for the energy that they would receive via the Tesla methodology.
That's right. So that's the electrical distribution through the air. Mm-hmm.
That was it. There was curtains for Tesla.
Oh, no money in that. Goodness.
Not interested. So it is the money. This is the interesting thing. I think that brings him back to the broader picture here, and that's where the crazy dropped out of the bottom. The people that make the decision, or the decisions that affect all of us, and that goes from I guess environmental policies, energy policies, financial, fiscal as well as monetary policies, and all manner of lawmaking are not at all affected by any of the rules or regulations they bring in.
Yeah.
They're just not. Okay. They are not. Never ever touched by it. It will all apply to you. And the funny thing is this. The most blatant example of this kind of, I don't even have a word for it. It's not corruption. It's just a complete disregard for anything at all.
I can't wait for this one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was when Mr. Boris
Johnson. Yep.
Went and visited parties or even members of his cabinet.
And they celebrated within 10 Downing Street.
Yeah, as well as taking long trips. Some of his members of the cabinet, they took long trips. When the rest of the country was in complete lockdown during the pandemic.
That's right.
Yeah, that doesn't apply to me. Now, he didn't say that. But
his
clearly,
actions
that's
showed
what they
that.
were thinking.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, it applies to all the animals. Not me. I'm the guy. I'm a dude. I'm a dude.
It reeks of oligarchy, doesn't it, Mickey?
Oh, of course it does.
Yeah.
So, because that's where we all are. That's where we are no longer living in any form of democracy, in any form of equitable government rights. Yes, the laws apply to you, and if you break them, they're going to come down on you like a ton of bricks. Let me assure you on that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, except when they break the law. Hang on. Hunter Biden? What now? Not just Hunter Biden, but look, it's all of them.
They didn't find the owner of that cocaine, by the way. Apparently, says the CIA.
It was Christmas cocaine, dude. Left there by Santa Claus. So what you have then, you have these rules that don't seem to, apply to anyone else but the people that need to be kept under the boot. So
That's
our
right.
futures are burning away. They're being swept away by floodwaters. We're going to sweat them away because, well, frankly, I'm really worried, and I mean this. This summer really, really worries me.
It's probably going to be the worst we've ever experienced.
Yeah, look, for 3 years we've experienced La Nina, which is, uncommon wetness, if you will, uncommon precipitation, which led to a lot of undergrowth. The problem that we have in Sydney, at least, I listened to the reports recently, is that we can't do any safe backburning because of strong winds.
Mm-hmm.
So backburning is one way of controlling the undergrowth in any forested area.
That's when you burn it in the conditions which will mean it won't get out of control.
Correct. And you put in like firewalls. They're not walls, they're just empty spaces, which the fire hopefully can't bridge.
And
right?
it can, but...
Yeah, now it can. That's right. And of course the undergrowth. You want to control the undergrowth, or at least have a better chance of fighting the fire at the very least. At the very least, right?
That's right.
No, but that we can't do any backburning right now, Dave. At least on the eastern seaboard, because the wind speeds are too high. So because once the wind speeds are high and you've got even a controlled burn, it can get out of control fairly quickly. So with all the undergrowth over the last 3 years that just happened to grow naturally,
and because it was honestly continuously wet, so they were in the best growing conditions they could have.
Yeah, and now it's going to go into tinder.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't know how it was for you up north, but the last, I want to say from Wednesday onwards, and then not today but yesterday, it was really, really hot in Sydney. I went out with my kids, right? And I wore a jacket, and fool me. And I carried their jackets. They can fool me.
And that was the hottest July day on record.
Yeah, 26 degrees. That's Germany. That's the temperature that I experienced as a child in Germany when July is actually summer. Okay.
Now, did you know that temperature is the long-term average summer temperature on a daily rate in Sydney?
Yeah.
And we've exceeded that by almost 2 times in the past.
Yeah. I remember walking out of, this was probably 3 or 4 years ago, before the pandemic, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was at the gym, and I stopped my gym membership once the pandemic came because I couldn't go, so what's the point? Anyway, point is, I came out of the gym in summer, and I was, sweaty and worked up in the sweat, but I came out of the gym, and my breath was colder than the outside temperature. So
That's right.
It would condensate. I could see my breath in the heat.
Yeah.
That sounds insane, right?
I know, it does.
But that happened, and I go, holy cow, it's really hot. And as I was driving, and I was going from where I live I was going on the M2 to the city, and I was driving. Back then I had my Jeep still. I had the built-in temperature gauge in my rearview mirror, right? And it went over 50 degrees.
That's
I took
right.
a picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's, of course, in traffic with cars around you. I get that, yeah? But that's we're talking Saudi Arabia heat, right? This is now the Sahel zone or even Death Valley. And
it also starts to, over 50, starts to damage human tissue.
Oh, completely. And a lot of cars were sitting on the side of the road.
Yeah, because you can't deal with that kind of. No. We've engineered for a very safe zone of temperature control of a motor vehicle, right? And the same thing, Mackie, for air conditioning. Air conditioning can only work in a very small zone. It doesn't work at 50 degrees Celsius outside.
Yeah. Now think about that for a second.
Because it's got to release the heat into something colder. And all you're doing with an air conditioning system is removing heat from one place and putting it another place.
Yeah.
That's the entire design. That's how it works. You're not just throwing cold air magically into one environment. You're actually extracting the heat. Yeah. But did you know that you can do that another way? There's a way of being able to broadcast the heat to space from Earth, from your own block of land, from even your own rooftop.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, I'll share you some actual science and
cool.
Regarding that, and it's quite remarkable the way it works. But it does work. It's real. There's only like a 2 or 3 degrees per cycle differential, but if you stack them, then you get some really cool cooling. I suppose, mind the pun. But yes, Mackie, it's going to be the worst summer. The US is going through it in advance for us and giving us the heads up of how it's going to be.
Yeah, and they usually have milder summers than we have here in Australia.
Yeah, that's never like that.
Yeah. So the question then is, what's going to happen? So what's going to happen is that these things are going to accelerate. There's going to be more and more damage, right, to us and to our environment, to our civilization, because of the great stupidity and corruption of a few. Because we could, and this is what Stephen Greer put into his documentary, which I find fascinating as well, we could be living in a post-scarcity society if we took advantage of the zero-point energy, and he makes a very good point. I don't care what anyone thinks about him, but he makes a very, very good point.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at the Tic Tac or any other UFO or UAP sightings as a mysterious event, as an alien event, as a whole bunch of different things. We all look at it differently, right? But what it actually is, in many ways, not the only thing, but one of the things that we never really talk about is, well, yeah, there it is, and it is clearly there because we can see it.
Mm-hmm.
So it is moving about without any visible means of propulsion.
That's right.
Without any understanding of the energy source, at least we don't understand it, right? And then you bring in the Skinwalker Ranch and what they found out there, and the other documentaries have been.
And there's the metal orbs that have now been declared to be flying all around the planet.
Yeah,
they're only like a meter or something apart, big.
Yeah. So the question is how? How? Yeah. What is the energy that is, lending propulsion to these vehicles or whatever they are, right? Because clearly it has to be. Because in nature, unless we really don't understand the universe at all, you need some kind of energy. Now, zero-point energy, of course, coming from the quantum foam. Mine, by the way, I should have patented it.
You should have done that.
That's all good, mate. But the point is that we are now looking at the final stages, unless we do indeed tap into this zero-point energy and do away with fossil fuels forever. And by the way, nuclear, solar, and wind not going to do anything for us either. Okay, first of all, well, nuclear, and what I loved about Greer's documentary is he made the same point we make, Dave. It's a steam engine.
That's right.
It's a freaking steam engine.
Yeah,
okay? We're not extracting energy from the atom like people think we do.
Uh-huh.
It's fission, not fusion. Fission, not fusion. Fusion, that'd be great. Same with, in fact, solar is more detrimental to the environment than anything else.
Yeah.
Rare earth minerals, lithium mining, right? And it's I think it's 20% efficient, 22% efficient, which is
if you're
ridiculous.
Lucky. Yeah, 22, 23, yeah.
Yeah, that's about the thing. But again, other inventions have been suppressed that would have increased that efficiency significantly.
But did you know every renewable resource that we could possibly think of, apart from tidal, because tidal's still an option, I reckon, until we lose the moon, then we're screwed. But solar and all of those big wind turbines, they all need renewable energy. Sorry, they all need coal-powered resources and oil resources to create them. And it's even EVs use more carbon in the creation of those vehicles, and it takes half of 5 years to pay them back if you drove the car every day using solar to renew it.
So Tesla is not saving the planet, everybody.
It actually does nothing. And your whole point, Mekkia, which I thought you might have been going to, is we're forced into believing the narrative that going to pure EVs solves the entire pollution cycle for cooling the planet. And it doesn't. If every single vehicle overnight, with the wave of a magic wand, turned into EVs, pure EVs, not hybrids, there would be it's 0.001% improvement in the emissions outputs. That's it.
Yeah.
Mind you, not the power grid wouldn't cope. We actually need more power to be able to, because we're not even consuming that kind of power now.
It's a pointless undertaking. It makes no sense.
They've transferred the problem to the end user when it isn't the end user at all. Mm-hmm. Who's the big polluter? The biggest is power production, and then the next one is agriculture.
But think about not the irony.
And I'm not going to say humans are responsible for it, but even if we did those, we're still in positive. Let's call it. What do you call it? Negative territory. We still haven't improved the situation yet.
Yeah. But let's assume for a second that we could do something, and in fact that human beings could
Sure.
make a change. But
And that we were responsible for it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe partially, but not. Let's just say that were a case. But even if with that being, if that were the case, look at the complete disregard for anything that is sensible or ethical, because we created a cottage industry of carbon credit trading.
Mm-hmm.
So
Woohoo.
everybody says, okay, let's just jump on the bandwagon and say, yeah, human beings are responsible for global warming. Let's
Sure.
just jump on that
Let's do
bandwagon.
that.
Okay, hurrah! What can we do? Oh, we got to reduce carbon consumption. Okay, how do we do that? Oh, well, we just have to find other sources of energy, etc., etc. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Oh, what mechanism can we do? Oh, we do carbon trading.
Why
What's
is that?
carbon trading?
Oh, because you don't want to burn
exactly
carbon.
right.
You want to grow carbon. You want to store it.
What's carbon? What's carbon trading? So, okay, so you know how these big polluters, they're polluting like a lot, like millions of tons of. Yeah. Now these countries over here, the small countries, they're not polluting, right? Yeah, that's right. Now, what we think we should do, we should make an allowance for the fact that they have a right to pollute as much as the big boys,
That's right.
right? So the big boys are polluting, over here, so that's the baseline, and they're not polluting at all. So we should give these people here, these other countries like Peru and Zimbabwe, whatever. We tell them, okay, you're polluting per capita at only 1% of, say, China or the US.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, these companies, they can pay you to buy your non-polluting quota, rather than, and this always gets me every single time, rather than pointing at Peru and Zimbabwe and saying, hey, we should all be like Peru. No, that's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is, USA and China, keep doing what you're doing. Peru will sell you their carbon credits.
Yeah.
But it doesn't exist. So this is wonderful.
It doesn't exist. It's another economy.
Market,
That's right.
Yeah, the stock market was a wonderful scheme, but now we've come up with something even better: carbon credit trading.
That can take us into the future, Mickey. I don't think you're seeing the full picture here. So,
well,
wait.
You and me into the future. All these other, useless eaters, they probably don't have a future.
Who? Anyway, cattle, Mickey, cattle. So
Cattle.
That's another one of the causes. So, all right, if I asked AI if there was a solution to the carbon problem, and it just gave me wishy-washy rubbish answer, and I said, what if the population was only 500,000? Oh, I don't condone killing people. That's not what I asked you. If there were only 500,000 people on the planet, and therefore we only needed to provide food and power, like resources and blah, 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 to 500,000 rather than 8 billion, what would the carbon output look in comparison to today's 8 billion for carbon output? Oh, it'd be much better. How better?
Of course.
Well, I think we'd hit our targets. Was the would we hit our promised targets for carbon emissions or all emissions? I have to say, because methane's another one of those emissions, and it's worse than carbon. In fact, if you can burn the methane into carbon, it's less of effect than the methane.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? So you got to think, hang on, so carbon's not as bad as methane? Oh, you're right. That's right. Okay. So I'm with you, Mackie, on the let's find an alternative. Maybe it has already been discovered and shelved.
No, hang on, Dave. We know it exists.
I know. It's
we know
clear.
it's being used today because all the UAPs, all the UFOs,
That's
they
right.
must
They're
have
all
something.
using something. That's right.
Okay, just to be clear, it's there. We don't have to speculate. Oh, I wonder if we can ever get it. Well, that might be speculation, but we know what it is we want. We want whatever they have is what we want.
Now, the hydrogen-powered vehicles, not hydrogen power cell, where osmosis through a membrane causes the electron to move and therefore generates electrical power. No, the other one, where you just simply have an engine built for burning hydrogen, like the internal combustion engine, which was quite successful around the planet for such a long time, but just change its fuel source so its only output is water. That's it, right? And some heat.
Exactly.
You can do that.
What do you mean? Hang on. Your
What?
pollution that you're creating is H2O?
Yeah. I fail to see the downside. So I think Honda have done that, and another company have revolutionized it, and it's the end of the battery-powered blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I think that's really good. You can burn a sixth of the amount of fuel to get the same power, because it's 6 times more powerful explosion in the combustion engine than regular fuel is. It's actually more economical to do it that way. So anyway, so that's one way of doing it. And the other one is good old Stanley Meyer talking about shelved technology, right? And creators that were accidented. So he had that runs on water. Stanley Meyer, ex-NASA scientist.
Yes.
Well, I could just make a car run on water. And one of those things, and I'll say it on the show, where he had it hidden in a box, what he was doing, but it was only ever filled with water, and that was the only fuel source. A lot have said, oh, you didn't get to see it, but no, he had a patent in there for splitting hydrogen at the injector. So it was splitting water at the injector, so it was water up to there, and then split into oxygen and hydrogen, because that's H2O, inside the cylinder and burnt. So there wasn't no storage of hydrogen, which is, won't someone consider, what was it? No, the other one. Oh, the Humanity, right? When the blimp burst into flames, powered by hydrogen. It was all this fear that we had about airships.
Oh, you mean the Zeppelin? Yeah.
Yes, the Zeppelin. So that fear was multiplied by the event, and wow, now we're in a position where we are all too scared of using hydrogen in anything, right? Because of its capacity to kill. Yeah. But if you're only splitting it at the injector, and apparently apparently, it's all hearsay, using radio waves to excite their split and make it a lot easier, and cycling power in some way to be able to make them just like separate apart with almost no effort. At the moment,
Tesla.
Yes, Tesla.
Tesla said you need to think of the universe in terms of energy, frequency. Oh, that was the third one.
Yeah, that's right. Threes.
Energy,
I know,
frequency.
Right? 369 was Tesla.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, we look, everybody. We discussed this before, and I'm not going to make a point of it too much, but we know very little about how the universe. Mm-hmm. We know very little about how the universe works. We don't know. In order for our theories to work, we had to make up 98% of stuff that we don't know that exists.
That's right.
So I can say with pretty confidence, good confidence that we don't know how the universe works.
We're still trying to find the things that we made up.
Yeah.
And my favorite, Mickey, is string theory, because
how much?
Because it's one of those things that I don't think we'll ever have enough technology to be able to measure. So it was quite a safe bet. Well, there's the thing that's the smallest thing that makes everything. It's a string that vibrates, and it vibrates for some reason we can't explain, but it does vibrate. And you know what? The whole universe is made of these, and there's four or five of them, and different types. And gravity is now one, right? Yeah, good on you. Right? They're going to be milking that cow for a while.
We need
since
more
we
research,
can never
Dave.
disprove it. Yeah, we need billions. We need $1 billion. So you go in the house. There's billions of dollars just piled up in the house. What are you doing?
It's all over here.
Research.
Anytime an expert comes on the air, like a scientist, right? This is what they say.
Yeah.
Oh, we just need more research.
That's
all that
right.
means is, I want to get my paycheck into the foreseeable future. I want to get paid. That's all it says.
Well, it's like the Large Hadron Collider. They said, so how you doing? What our greatest observation, having run it for so long, is that we need a bigger one.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So I don't know, the 20-mile underground tunnel in a circle that's had billions of dollars funds. No, we need a bigger one now. Yeah, I think we got the scale wrong. From those alien pictographs that they sent us in that message, and encoded in their message. Anyway, it's got to be bigger. I think we used cubits before. It's got to be bigger measurement. It was a guess, at best. Right.
Tell me about Klaus Schwab, though.
Oh yeah, cool. So, back in January, the WEF people within all of them, not all of them, I want to be very kind, the founder of the WEF and chair, Klaus Schwab, he's been running this forum for 52 years. And
that's a good job if you can get it.
You know what? Some past and present staff see him as a law unto himself, says the article from The Guardian, dated the 18th of January 2023. He has now suggested that the WHO didn't have enough power and should be the countries who are its members of the WHO, not the WEF, but the WHO, should be legally bound to enforce laws rather than advice from the WHO in regards to world health. And that's what the WHO was meant to be. It was meant to be global health guidance to the people of the planet. But because that is country sponsored, the person with the largest amount of sponsorship has the greatest voice, and therefore can contaminate the message with their directives. And then that's what goes out, and all the big tech companies, for instance, follow the WHO narrative, and if you go against the narrative in any way, shape or form, you mean just non-compliance with the rules, then you'll get your shows on YouTube, for instance, deleted, which happened to us. I'll go to that in a minute. And that's really disappointing. But what Klaus is suggesting here is that the WHO then mandate the laws that all the member countries should put in place for the next pandemic. And they'll be legally bound to adhere to those. And it won't be the country itself making the decision, having been given a white paper on the advice about how they should, operate through this pandemic. What they're saying is, no, they're laws. So WHO says everyone gets locked down in their houses, and then suddenly all the countries of the world get their people locked up in their houses. Because Klaus said that he was really impressed with China's ability to control the virus.
Mm-hmm.
He was really impressed, Mackie. You know what that message means? I like the way you work. Right?
You're vast bashful.
So, from a budding world-dominating leader of the Great Reset, Klaus Schwab, in his 52 years of getting to where he is, and now has that opinion, will it be held? Will it be held up? Because if it's allowed to proceed, then he can just go, it's pandemic time, WHO, lock everyone down.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, we're all locked in our houses and don't even know what's happening. They can propagate anything in the media and it doesn't make any difference. So just the British Medical Journal article about Norway stopping the vaccine deployment upon discovering 10 people who had passed away as a direct result of having the vaccine. That's what Norway did, and the British Medical Journal published a story It was an article from a local, Norwegian newspaper. We read out the story on air, live, because that's the way we roll, and without criticism, without opinion, we just read it flat, and we were accused of, and maintained after appeal, that we had provided medical misinformation by reading the news story. That's all it was. We didn't even have an opportunity to apologise, and we didn't have an opportunity to download the show, delete out the whole entire story, because that's all it was. It was like, 45 seconds, and then put it back up again. Nothing.
Yep, that's what happened, everybody.
And so British Medical Journal, I'm sorry, man. I'm not reading your stories out anymore. It's too dangerous. Who knew that was going to be a thing? But now we all know. This was done, a month ago, but from a story back in 2021.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute, but we now know that there's vaccine injuries. And why is the WHO still controlling us and controlling big tech? Could you imagine if these laws were put in place, Mickey, and what the world would look like?
Oh, much more quiet. No, wrong answer. I don't know. Dave,
Hey,
what's the right answer?
I think it might be the right answer, and I love the AI and the leader. So, over to you. 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes, jeez. Yeah, look, crazy really dropped out of the bottom. In fact, Biden actually kind of made fun of, I didn't really make fun, but sort of made a humorous remark about, the Wagner incident and how the leader of the Wagner group should be really careful what they eat.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That was a bit, I didn't think that we do that, but hey, it's all in good fun, I'm sure. and ultimately, we're all just people, right?
Uh-huh.
Even if you're the president of the United States, you're still just people. But we are coming to a nexus point now, right? We have passed the point of no return for action.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, we passed that point a long time ago. But now we are quickly passing the point of no return for damage minimization, forward planning. What do I mean by that? Now we know we have an inkling of what's coming. Yeah, we do. But we choose not to do anything. So we're not getting ready at all to make things better, or provide some kind of future planning. When the oceans do rise, when the temperatures do soar.
Oh,
when we have
that's
climate
already
refugees.
happening. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. When we oh great. When we had we have climate refugees now,
Yeah.
and we will have them in the future, and we will have them in the tens of millions.
Hmm?
Because that's where
Wait till
we
we'll
are.
all huddle around on some tall mountain.
You know it.
Uh-huh.
100%. So this is now is the time to make those plans. Now is the time to at least try and safeguard our future. I mean, I'm talking about normal people like us.
This is the end of the first hour. We'll come back after the short break with Language Confusion Part 3.